Welcome to another episode of the Mixtape Matinee Podcast. My name's Cole.
And I'm Court.
And before we start off today on this episode, we just want to remind everybody to please rate the podcast if you can. That helps us out a lot. And then if you like any of our episodes, it helps out if you just text it to a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to get this out to everyone. So anyway, everybody, thank you for listening to all the episodes that you have listened to. But today we have on a good friend of the show. We have Ditson on. Is that how you pronounce it?
Woo. Yeah. Bim Ditson. That's me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you on. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
I am a person who plays music. I've drummed in 100 bands. And currently I play in a band called Obedient that's played a bunch of shows with Zap Pack, Cole's band. And we fucking love you guys. And that's how we know each other.
Yeah, and you're also in a band called Help. That's really amazing too.
Yeah, I play in Help. And yeah, I'm just a guy that's been in the music world all my life, you know?
Yeah, for sure. That's why we wanted to have you on and talk about music. And you're currently located in Portland, correct?
Yep.
And can you remind me, I know you've told me before, but where are you originally from?
Oh, I grew up in Eugene, which is just south of Portland. And then I moved to Portland in my late teens. So I've been here forever.
Yeah. And you also have your own chainmail business.
Yeah, I do chainmail for a living. I've been doing that since '99, and
very cool.
Yeah, this is my 26th year in business, and it's cool because everybody knows what chainmail is now. So instead of saying, "Oh, honey, look, that kid made those out of bicycle chains," they go, "Oh, honey, that's chainmail."
So do you go to Saturday Market a lot?
Yeah, I did that market for 25 years, and then this year I quit because a lot of reasons. I was just kind of burned out on it, but then also I wanted to say yes to all the touring and all the music stuff that normally I have to kind of balance against market, you know? So I just
definitely
wanted the freedom of not being tied to a once a week event. It's also just a lot of work, it's like 20 hours a week and $1,000 a month to have a booth. And so that's time that now I'm kind of spending on music or on fucking off or whatever, you know?
Yeah. The stuff you make is really cool. We'll definitely link your website in the show so people can go check your website out and get some of your cool pieces. How do you not destroy your back while doing that?
I'm actually looking at it right now. It's like this weird little back brace thing that attaches to your chair, and then it makes you sit like a nerd.
Like a nerd.
Yeah, and or somebody who's those dudes that are really into hot yoga, but it just makes them walk around like they're arrogant. It makes you sit like that.
That might be a Portland thing.
Yeah, that's pretty Portland, actually. Yeah. You know those dudes who are into hot yoga.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Well, we wanted to have you on today, Bim, and talk about some albums. The album that you chose is Medulla by Bjork. Do you want to kind of tell the audience about the album and I guess your history with it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know any inside information about the album. I just know what I've heard, literally.
No, yeah, what you've heard. I guess what I'm asking is that, your personal experience with the album, nostalgic type stuff.
Totally. My experience with the album is basically the same as my experience with all Bjork's music, which is that at one point it was really important for me to cry to it. And then it taught me a lesson about relationships. But with Medulla specifically, I think it's their coolest record because it's such a departure, it's not a pop record at all. It's just an experiment kind of, and it seems like it's maybe she like had a boyfriend that was into beatboxing and like he kind of ruined a few of the tracks, but other than that, it's just like you doing this like a cappella thing, so there's just like there's very little instrumentation other than voice, and I just find that super compelling, and especially with Bjork. And then she's like doing some weird like stuff that reminds me of Nilsson almost, like where she's like going like like wrecking her voice on certain
Mm.
parts. And yeah, I just really like it because it's just weird as fuck, and especially because it came out like right after Vespertine, so it's like she hits like peak, could be biggest pop ever, and then like immediately releases this like kind of unapproachable record. And then her like the lyrics on it are just like classic Bjork stuff where it's like just talking about the power of giving and like just these like really sweet and like delicate kinds of empowerment that I really like Bjork for. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to even like dig into it without the context of people listening to it. So if you haven't listened to it, just like listen to it and pretend like you're like uh living out of your van and like your girlfriend of 10 years just left you out of nowhere. But pretend that you're like a really badass drummer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the fact that the fact that that one thing that you just said about yeah, how she just released Vespertine, which was like the super electronically produced album, and then all of a sudden, yeah, just wanting to flip it and just use her human voices as like the main instrument on the album is kind of badass that she decided to do that.
Yeah, it's like it's exactly the kind of badass that I like, like it's just
Mm-hmm.
that like uh it's like the like theory of art where like if it's working, it means it is over. Like it's like the minute that something is working at all, like you've taken it too far. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
wasting your time. And I feel like Bjork
Yeah.
has that understanding of like as soon as she's like achieved something, she's like trying to really go the other way, which I think is important.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise you just
Yeah.
have like products, like that's why Beyonce is a shame, like it's just
Mm-hmm.
productized,
Yeah, the interesting thing about that, well, one of the things I didn't know right off the bat was the name of the album. It's actually Latin for marrow, for bone marrow. I guess she was having like a hard time naming the album, and a friend actually suggested that to her, and she was like, "Oh, that's kind of a cool idea, kind of grounding yourself in the human body, especially where like the human body is the main instrument of this album." I thought that was kind of cool that she named it that.
Apparently, she originally was considering the name Ink.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah,
Okay. Oh. Huh. I didn't know that.
Ink. Yeah.
Hmm.
Have you looked much at the album cover art?
Yeah, I looked into that. Like the headpiece that she's wearing is made
Yeah.
out of human hair,
It's made out of human hair.
and then the Medulla necklace is made out of bones,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
I
Kind
kind
of
of
thought that
cool.
cool.
the hair was maybe her hair, like woven like that.
Oh yeah, I think it was like a separate hair piece I looked into. It was like by this one designer that did that, which is kind of
It's
cool.
made from like children's hair, but like forcibly.
I don't know, maybe.
She's like the
Good.
Nike of pop,
Oh man.
you know.
Yeah.
That's so funny. We should also mention the other collaborators on the album because
Yeah.
this album definitely was a work of collaboration. Like Cole said, it's all based on the human voice. So you have Tanya Tagak, who is an Inuit throat singer who provides those really guttural, breathy vocalizations that are kind of visceral throughout the album.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. She has an Inuit singer. That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Then you have Mike Patton.
Which I had no idea Mike Patton was on this album. That
Yeah.
kind of blew me away.
From
He's on
Faith No More.
from Faith No More and
Yeah.
Mr. Bungle, but
Yeah.
he's on two of the tracks, which is kind of interesting.
He's got that bullfrog deep voice. Robert Wyatt, who is a tenor. Rozelle, who is a former Roots member known as the Human Beatbox.
Yeah, that was like he's like the main beatboxer on the album.
Yeah, there's also another beatboxer, a Japanese vocal artist beatboxer by the name of Dokaka.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then it also involved two choirs, one from Iceland, one from London, and then of course you need a producer, right? So Bjork's longtime producer Mark Bell produced the album. So yeah, apparently Beyonce actually originally was slated to be on the album.
That's crazy. I wonder what song it would have been.
Yeah. Apparently scheduling conflicts prevented the cameo. So
How are you,
Yeah, it's
how are
kinda
you
cool.
too busy to be on a Bjork record?
I don't know. Especially at this time, like she was so famous.
yeah.
Especially after Vespertine.
That just means that like you for some reason didn't want to do it, which is like just means that you're basically human garbage.
This is back in 2004, so she definitely could have emailed it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The-
Yeah, it would have been easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Piece of cake.
We should shout out who designed the trippy hairpiece thing.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the mask.
Who is it? I don't know.
Their name is, they go by Shoplifter.
Shoplifter.
They
Watch
are
out.
an Icelandic artist. Yeah.
So that's who did it. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, Bim, we asked you to pick your 3 favorite songs from the album. What were your 3 favorites, and I guess why?
My 3 favorites are just 2 of them.
Okay.
Born Never Asked or no, that's from the other record. I got 3 for this one. Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
Where's the Line is definitely my favorite on this record.
Where is the line with you? 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 My purse wide open. You ask again.
And that's just
Yeah.
because that sentiment, like that's just like completely like I mean the songs really all the songs on this record sound crazy, but mostly I just get drawn to the lyrics on the Bjork records. Like that's what stands out. And that like Where is the Line song is just like personal to me. Like I feel like I've engaged with so many people in my life where like I'm trying to be like really flexible and accommodating and like able to engage with people on a like wide range of like ways, and just like kind of like whatever somebody else's capacity is for, I can like show up for that. And then often what happens is like the more flexible I am, the less able people I'm around are to like define what their actual fucking boundaries are. And so it's just like confusing and annoying to like be accommodating. Like it'd be easier if I was just kind of like a jerk, but I just don't know how to do that. And I feel like Bjork maybe maybe that's something that she's dealt with too, and that's maybe part of what that song's about. It's like where is the line? And like it's kind of like a sad song, like it's just kind of like to me it just feels like Beyonce kept on saying that she'd do the record, and then she like wouldn't even say why she didn't,
Yeah.
And so
Well,
she
actually,
says it's like a scheduling thing when it, like, it's like that's probably not true,
I did look into the meaning of the song is actually based on, I guess, with Bjork getting famous, she had a family member that kept asking for money, and so that's what the song's about.
That's so funny because that's like not
So-
at all what I thought. Like I'm like, I thought it was Bjork like
Talking about Beyonce.
navigating some complicated stuff, not just like some greedy family member. Yeah.
That's what I heard, but I mean, I think that's the also kind of cool thing about Bjork's music is you can interpret how you want too. So.
I didn't read that and maybe you have better information than I
Yeah.
did, but I didn't read that the family member was necessarily asking for money, but just kept crossing boundaries, is what I read. But maybe it was.
We could be
because of
spreading
money.
rumors on this podcast, and
know.
that's okay.
That's okay.
So what are your other two, Bim?
Other two are Pleasure Is All Mine.
Ooh, kiss the pleasure is all mine. Women like
I mean, that's just like, again, high resonance with my just like behavior in life. Like, I just like really, that hits hard for me. Just like the powerful position being really like the giving one, and just
Mm-hmm.
like trying to navigate like how challenging that can be for other people who live in a world where like they've only been treated like objects instead of like subjects. And you start
Mm.
treating somebody like a subject and like being kind to them, and they like kind of get freaked out by it. Like people often don't know how to accept gifts, or don't know how to accept like
A
that somebody
compliment.
might just like, yeah, just might be like being really nice, and like that like that kind of is the most reliable way for me to have a good time, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense, like because I'm in control of what I give. And so
Mm-hmm.
if I can just give a whole lot of stuff to people, I feel really good. And that freaks people out. They like think that it's like a setup, you know. So I just like that song because it kind of affirms that concept of like, no, 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 the pleasure's mine, like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
One of the lines I think is "When in doubt, give."
yeah,
Do
yeah,
not.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I
And
like
that's
that.
like,
I like that.
that's shit to live by, like it's so true, and it like,
Yeah.
it just fucking works. Like anybody who wants to come at that should just try it at all. If you just try it a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, it like is kind of stunning how much it works to like clarify what matters, even if like
Mm-hmm.
when you're in doubt and you give and then you're like, oh fuck, I wish I didn't give that away. It clarifies that you wish you didn't give it away too. Like it brings a lot of coherence.
Yeah, when I was reading about this album, apparently Bjork wrote this uh, kind of in the wake of the national fervor after 9/11, and while she was pregnant. She wrote, well, she started the album. It took a few years. It was 3 years, right? Um, and I wonder, well, kind of what I was reading actually was like a lot of her songs have like a maternal aspect to them, like giving freely to your child, like that kind of thing. And like that will come up with one of the songs that I chose too. But yeah.
Cool. What's your third song, Bim?
Let's see. Oh, Oceana. I just really like a song written from the perspective of the ocean.
every boy is a snake, is a lily. Every pearl is a lynx, is a girl. Sweet like harmony, made into flesh.
Yeah, I mean that's just like classic Bjork stuff. I don't even know like what more to say about it. Like it's just like the kind of song that only Bjork does. And that like if another artist did it, it might be like tacky. Like I could see seeing like a version of this song that's actually a spoken word poem that's really bad at like a coffee shop. Like, like it's like kind of right on the edge, but then the way that she does it is just like so perfect.
Yeah.
But if you just like listen to it, like if you got like a separated vocal track and then like just played it with like some clinking dishwashing behind it.
Man, you can't.
That's
Cole's
funny.
just totally laughing.
That's a hilarious thought. I love that.
It reminds me of that scene in So I Married an Axe Murderer.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
When he's doing
dude,
the slam poetry.
Yeah, the slam poetry. Okay, yeah.
Cole, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. Should I do my three?
Yeah. What's your three
Well,
favorite?
I wanted to. So one thing that I wanted to talk about with this album, real quick, before I go into my three, is we already touched on how it's like a cappella and stuff, but Bjork apparently really wanted to strip things down to like a very like she wanted to go to a place that was like pre-religion, pre-nationalism. I thought that was really interesting. And then and she called it her most political album to date, which is interesting to me because a lot of the lyrics don't feel outright political to me, but I guess kind of the idea, it's interesting that she, with Oceana, she was commissioned by the Olympics
Oh,
to do that. And she appeared in this big gown that like swept out and it was like a map of the world. And yeah, we should include a picture of that because it's kind of cool. We should include that when we post it. And then, okay, so anyway, it's like really like her vocals are so like entrancing, like and
ethereal
and kind of like heartbreaking in a way because it's just like her voice is just center stage and it's like very there's a fragility there. I don't know. It's really cool. I'm glad that I listened to this album.
It's so interesting that she said it's political.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like ever feel that way explicitly listening to it. But also
No.
like as Paul knows from knowing me, I'm highly political. And especially like my politics were born of 9/11, basically. You know, like like that was the first like big moment for me where it was like, oh, we're the bad guys. You know, like I get it now. We just do whatever we want and make up excuses why later. And that like
with like the Iraq War.
yeah, with like these kind of like insane wars that like are propagated by our own lack of position to really have like the authority to even engage in them. Like our failure to protect ourselves was somehow an excuse to then be the deciders of who to hurt. And that like is so insane, but it also like totally tracks with this record. Like the feeling in her voice is exactly that. And it's so interesting to me that I like I'm not the kind of listener to music generally that like is diving into the, you know, like I'm not like reading about it or, you know, like I just like listen to music and I like what I like. And it's so curious that this record I've been so obsessed with forever. And it's like completely about this stuff, I guess, that I had no idea it was about. That's also like these main themes in my like kind of political life, you know, like, yeah, super interesting. Who knew?
Yeah.
It just goes to show that she's effective, you know, that like, even if it's not like, she doesn't have to say like, Bush did 9/11 to say Bush did 9/11, you know, like it's like, it's a clear like indicator that art and like the ambiguity of art, the necessary ambiguity of art doesn't make it not get its point across, you know, like it's like it's still effective, you know, because she's definitely a master of like obscuring, you know, she's like always like hiding things inside of things, you know.
Well, and a lot of the lyrics are anatomical, like they point to different body parts like teeth or bones or blood or mouth, or I can't think of all of them, but a lot of them are anatomical.
This tooth is worthless, kind of, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so my three songs: Oceana, how do you say it?
Oceana, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you said it right.
It just felt like wrong for some reason when I said it. I really like that one. It's like the ocean addressing humankind and like saying like, since you emerged from my wet embrace, you have done well for yourselves. Like, but also like, remember where you come from, and like your sweat is, I am the reason for that your sweat is salty, and like I just like it. It's cool. What are my other top two? I really like what is it called? Arguably the most poppy of the songs on the album, Who Is It? Which apparently
that's the main single.
Apparently the single that got released was Oceana, right?
No, I think I thought that was the main one. It got released in October, and then Triumph of the Heart was the second one, which was released in February.
Okay, because what I was reading was that people were perplexed that. Okay, well, I must be wrong.
No, Oceana was first because their PR company was Al Gore LLC, and he was trying to. No, I'm just fucking with you.
Oh, I was like, dang,
I bought into it 100%.
I was like, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's not the main single. But
I thought
okay.
Oceana. We should fact
check.
check.
If you could have seen my face, you would have been like, "This is some bullshit."
We should fact check ourselves.
I totally believed you, hook, line, and sinker. I was just like, oh, really?
Yeah. Al Gore used to do PR for Bjork. It's yeah. Send the emails through a series of tubes.
No, the lead single is Who Is It? I just looked it up. The lead single, Who Is It? That's the lead single, and then the second one's Triumph of the Heart. But Oceana was it was released on it looks like it was played on a BBC radio show before it came out.
So what I just looked up says Oceana was released as a promotional single from Bjork's album Medulla. It was released on August 13th, 2004, prior to the album's full release.
Oh yeah, there was those 4 tracks that was like released on a website, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're both right.
We're both right. Okay. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Who Is It is I for some reason just when she sings like, who is it? I can't sing like Bjork, obviously.
Yeah, I fucking love that song too.
I love that. I love the way it sounds. And then this one apparently is like, some people have interpreted it because Bjork has talked about how a lot of the songs were informed by being a new mom. This is like the blurring of the line where like you're giving so much of yourself to your child, and it's like, who is? How does it go? Who is it?
Who never let you down? Who gave you back your crown?
Who gave you a crown? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a beautiful sentiment anyways, or like a reflection on, like, when I listen to that song, most often I think about different like lifelong friends, like these like platonic and very deep friendships that I've had in my life. And that song makes me feel of those, like it just is this like pure kind of like these people who just like make you feel awesome, and you probably make them feel incredible too, just by your kind of like being there for each other. Like it's just such a simple and beautiful idea. It's just like, what else would you want out of like the fact that we're born into these discrete bodies? Like pretty cool.
And then this one,
not limited to motherhood. Like I guess in my
definitely.
like I'm like
it's
definitely like definitely mom stuff too. Like no shade on moms, but like I'm like that's just like any healthy relationship is gonna make you feel that way. Like if your dynamics are not making you feel that way, you're just like an acquaintance with that person. That's not like a real thing.
I like that, and I just like the way it sounds too. Who is it?
Yeah, it sounds a little bit. It almost sounds like Disney, but like
I could see that.
Like it's like, who is it? And then he's like, I'm Cusco.
I could see that.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah,
Came up
yeah,
with that one.
he'd be like, "I'm the rapping president who did a genocide, but I'm not gonna tell. And I'm going to hell."
You're funny. Okay, this last one, you guys are gonna be surprised, I think. It is Show Me Forgiveness. It is so haunting to me. It's a short one. It's just Bjork's voice. And it sounds basically like a hymn. And it's so like solitary and vulnerable, and it just really touches me.
It sounds like a confession.
Yeah, exactly. It's like somebody's like being repentant. Yeah. It reminds me, for some reason, do you know who I kept picturing singing this? This is so random. And people are gonna be like, what? But maybe it's because their accents kind of remind me of each other. I kept picturing Audrey Hepburn from that one movie where she plays a nun.
What movie is that? I don't know.
Do you remember do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Where Audrey Hepburn's a nun. It's like a horrible stuff happens to her in that movie. But let's look it up. Nun, Audrey Hepburn. I just kept picturing her. The Nun Story. Yeah.
Anyway,
I've not seen that.
Sad movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, for some reason, I know it's so random, I'm just picturing Audrey Hepburn like in like the Highlands singing this song. Show Me Forgiveness. Anyway.
I mean, if this is written in the wake of 9/11, that's a totally different song.
Ooh, yeah.
All this stuff is like hitting totally different if it's like politically charged rather than like interpersonally charged. And like that one especially, because that one reads perfect as the US government circa 2003 or as quote unquote terrorists circa 2001. You know, like it's like that song is actually appropriate for everyone involved. And that's like very good art, is that it actually like cuts both ways, you know, and shows the foolishness of everyone, you know. Yeah. Fucking dope.
I want to shout out
Or it's just
two
about
other
that she
songs.
like ate the last piece of cheese, you know, and it's like
and she's giving this heartbreaking,
yeah. And she's actually just like
song.
super manipulative, you know. She's like, "Oh, forgiveness. Oh, come on, it's just cheese." Yeah.
Forgive me.
Yeah. So you never know. You never know.
That's so funny. Okay, I want to shout out two more. Sonnets Unrealities 11 I thought was cool. It's apparently an E.E. Cummings poem. And she just took the poem itself and used them directly as lyrics. I thought that was cool. E.E. Cummings is one of my favorite poets. And then the last one I want to shout out, apparently people say is the most challenging song, if you can call it a song, on the album. But I thought it was really cool. And that's Ancestors. And there's like no words, but it's mostly her and the Inuit
throat
singer going back and forth with like these really intense like vocalizations and like throat singing and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, why do people hate this? Like,
it's a throat off.
That's the last song, right?
No, it's before Mouth's Cradle, and it's
the third to last song.
Yeah.
Or fourth to last song. So.
It's like, it's a short one, but I wanted to shout it out because if you want to hear something really experimental, really different,
try that
one. But don't let it, if it does scare you away from the album, don't let it, because the rest of the album's great.
Yeah. Huh.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
And if you're unable to listen to a song that's weird and enjoy it, then just turn this podcast off and just give up on music. Just do something else, you know?
Yeah, because both albums we chose are kind of avant-garde, strange.
Just listen to sports radio.
Like, I would say that the biggest problem in music that's happened in my life, like the biggest change that's a problem, is that like too many people think that they like music and they actually don't. and they need to just stop pretending that they like music and just go back to like being into working at a corporate job and being rude to their partner or whatever the fuck people do. You know, like, so like, but yeah, if you're just not like, if you can't get into some weird music, like that's your sign that like you actually were not invited in the first place and we
You
don't
need to
like you.
reassess.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
we're just kind of putting up with your presence here and it's exhausting for us.
Okay, so my three, we've already kind of talked about it, but my three are Where Is the Line, Who Is It, and then the one that we haven't mentioned is the last song, Triumph of the Heart. I just like that. It's a cool little poppy song at the end, and she does like that weird like.
Isn't that the
like-
one Japanese?
It could be, I don't know, but there's
Yeah,
like
it's like
it's this cool. It's like it's sampled
I
because
almost
it's
picked that one.
it's sampled because it's the exact same every time. But I don't know. I like that weird little thing in there. It just makes the song kind of interesting.
I'm fighting the urge to impersonate it because I know I'll totally butcher it.
So yeah, those are my three. Yeah, I've listened to this album before. I think a couple of years ago, me and Tabitha went on a road trip and we listened to every single Bjork album in succession, like in a row. And I remember at the time, I really liked Where Is the Line. Like that is probably my favorite song from the album. But yeah, I like those other three. Yeah, this album is just super interesting. The vocalizations, how she uses her own vocals and then everybody else's. I just think it's a cool idea, and then executing it. That's the thing, is like you can have a cool idea, but then executing it well is another thing, and I think she does a really good job at that.
And I actually didn't have a hard time with the beatboxing, because a lot of times beatboxing can be kind of cheesy.
Well, that's actually what she said. So she didn't want to have those beatboxers on the album, but once she saw YouTube videos of those guys,
She was like,
she had them on.
"Oh, cool."
Because she wasn't originally going to have beatboxers.
yeah, that's
I
kind of
didn't-
my like
Yeah.
me joking about the like boyfriend that beatboxes and like that ruined a couple of the tracks. Like that is a joke because those are like the tracks still work, you know, like
Yeah.
I think that like the problem with having beatboxers is even if you're a unique, original and like matured style of beatboxer, if you call yourself a beatboxer, you're still like, you know, like it's like slap bass or like, you know, like there's just like certain things that just have a connotation to them no matter what, you know, like they bring a certain amount of baggage. And so Bjork again is doing the hard work of kind of untying the great knot of beatboxer as monoliths and bringing them into their individual strands and allowing us to then examine the strand and go, oh, this one's cool. This one still sucks. This one's cool.
Yeah. I think
This one still
I think the reason why it works is because she's adding all those other elements into it. And you know, if it would be different if it was just her and like a beatboxer. Like the fact that she's adding those other elements in there, that's why it works. I think so
Totally.
well.
Yeah,
And
and I
the
think
whole
because
fact-
she's
and the
already
fact that-
committed to like vocalization and she's unwilling to make a record that's repetitive. But
Yeah.
she's so limited. You know, like it's like what you know, there's only so many like acapella tricks. You
Mhm.
know? Like,
Yeah.
Well, should we go to album number 2?
Heck yeah, let's talk about the album that you picked, Court.
Yeah. So I listened to Medulla first. Actually, I listened to it a couple times first. And then I was like, what am I going to pair with this? And I like considered a lot of things. I considered different a cappella albums. I considered this album called Honey. What is it called? Honey in the Rock is the group.
Oh, never heard of it.
And the album is called Breath.
Mm.
And it's like this all black female a cappella group from like the 70s, 80s, and I almost did that one. And then I also discovered this other album called proto that's like this person doing a cappella with an AI. It was like really trippy. It was cool. I considered a few different. I mean, like I don't need to go through all the ones I considered.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I kept coming back to Big Science.
Had you heard this album
by
before?
Laurie Anderson. I had heard this. The way I was introduced to this was "Oh Superman," the song "Oh Superman."
Mm-hmm.
There's a lyric in it that was trending on social media for a while.
Oh, really?
It's like this lyric that says like, "You don't know me, but I know you." And for some reason that was trending, and I was like, "What is that?" That's like really haunting. And so I like looked up the album, and that's how I discovered it. It seems almost like an odd pairing, maybe, in some ways. I don't know. I'm curious
Have an
what you guys know
aside.
about this pair. Yeah, let's hear the aside.
Is Chat Pile intentionally referencing Big Science in that song then? Because Chat Pile has
song?
like a very prominent "You don't know me, but I know you"
Oh, I wouldn't be
lyric in
surprised.
God's Country. And I always accredited it to them. I thought it was a brilliant lyric. And in the context, it was like, it's kind of like hinting at like the like person who killed his kid or some like really brutal shit, you know? But it's a very haunting lyric. And I wasn't familiar with Big Science when God's Country came out, and I didn't track the
Yeah,
connection, but I wonder if that was
it could have been.
an intentional nod or an obscured
We'll have to have.
theft. Was it an obscured theft?
Could be.
They say, what do they say? Steal like an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say good artists borrow, great artists steal.
Oh.
And I wholeheartedly agree, but what's missing from the statement is that stealing means no one knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get away
Great
with it.
artists do it in a way that no one can tell. And if no one can tell, then no harm is done. You're just extending the pure art of the last artist who was channeling into the current context and allowing the new context people to feel the vibe. So that would be like Chat Pile doing that. It would actually make it worse if they said, and this is a lyric from Big Science, because then the kids would have to do their research on Big Science to make sure that that's not a canceled person, and then decide whether or not they could agree with the lyric.
Yeah.
You know, so like it's nice when it's decoupled from the artist. It finally is
That's
it's
true.
disembodied from its own shame, you know, its own harms,
Yeah.
all that. It can just live as art.
Well,
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
speaking of controversial art, this album actually comes from an 8-hour multimedia stage work that Anderson developed called United States 1 through 4. Yeah, it was 8 hours long, and a UK radio station DJ picked up on one of the songs from it.
The famous John Peel.
Exactly. And picked up the song "Oh Superman" and pushed it out to the masses. And "Oh Superman," which is a truly bizarre song, but I like it, trended at number 2 in the UK. This is from the 1980s, by the way, 1982. Cold War is in full force. I think that's part of the reason it resonates maybe with Medulla, because it's like you have 9/11, you have the Cold War, you have this like American, this jingoism that's taking over.
Yeah,
in
Cold
both
War
cases.
era, like 80s United States is the same exact mentality politically of like, well, I hate that he's going to kill all the brown people on Earth, but I do want to drink a beer with him. You know, it's
Yeah.
like this like weird, like kind of personality, like big personality, like scummy
Yeah.
right-wing president that's like doing all this global stuff that we could actually kind of give a shit. We don't actually really care about the rest of the world. We just like
Yeah.
want like a guy who'd be like fun at a barbecue to like oversee that. you know,
Yeah. Well,
myopic politics, you know.
Prior to that "Oh Superman" song being pushed to the public by Peel, um, Laurie Anderson didn't have like a commercial career in music. And after that, Warner Brothers signed for like, I think like quite a few albums with her. Anyway, um,
Those were the
yeah.
days, dude. Let's undemocratize music again. I want that back.
Yeah.
I've got the chops for it. I think I could make it in that world. I don't know if I'm kidding or not.
It was largely a DIY album, recorded in her home studio. Kind of a one-woman show, although there were other collaborators, such as on the saxophone.
There's a guy that plays drums, like a lot of different
Yeah.
percussion instruments on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, the drums
there's-
were weird on this record. Do you guys track that?
Yeah.
Where it was almost like the drummer learned how to play drums like from the first, like they started on the earlier tracks, and then by the end he's like pretty good, you know. But like at the beginning he's kind of like you can hear him counting like 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 1 2 3 4 5, you know, like he's like, and then by the end he's
It's
loose,
kind of
you know, he's
minimalist.
like
Yeah.
he's like shooting heroin by the end of it. He's just like going for it.
Anderson actually plays the violins and the keyboard, including I'm probably not going to pronounce
Farfisa.
Farfisa organ,
Yes.
and an Oberheim synth. Yeah, but the main instrument, quote unquote, is actually a Roland VP 330 vocoder.
Which that's another connection to the Bjork albums because she's using her voice like
Yeah.
as an instrument almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Front and
instrument
center.
quality of the voice. And that's
Yeah.
like early days for that stuff, right? Like I don't really, you know, I don't know shit about shit. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of like that was like way before
Peter
people were
Frampton.
like accustomed to that, right? You know, like
Yeah.
because it
Peter
sounds
Frampton,
weird
though.
today even. You know, like it's like those are the bands that I like that like sound that freaky, but it's not
Yeah.
like that like mainstream super hard, you know, like it's still weird today, you know, which is
Yeah.
cool. It's
Yeah.
not being weird 50 years later, you know. You got to be pretty fucking weird if you want to be weird 50 years later.
Yeah. A lot of the album is like delivered in this like somewhat sing-songy but spoken
word.
voice, almost Siri-esque voice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that.
I heard Siri go off after I was listening to some. I was like, oh my gosh, did they get inspiration from?
Yeah, dude,
Laurie
Siri,
Anderson.
and then also the one with the phone ringing is exactly the iPhone classic phone ring.
Yeah.
I even
It
like
is.
checked it, and like the amount of time between rings is the same. Like it's
Wow.
legit.
Wow.
Like I feel like Apple actually fucking sampled that from Columbia.
They probably
Like
did.
I'm like, I think they were
don't
like,
doubt
this
it.
is the best fucking phone ring. You know, it's like crazy.
Yeah.
So I set it as my ringtone, and it's like really custom. It sounds exactly like the other one, but I can tell
Oh, that's
people
awesome.
it's actually from the record
Ditson.
that they don't know about. Yeah.
Well, a lot of it, and then I'll let us talk about our 3 favorite songs. I'll stop going on and on, but a lot of it is like looking at technology, our relationship with technology, the rise of the state becoming more and more powerful, Cold War era politics, and like our involvement abroad, the whole failure with the Iran hostage situation with Reagan. Like there's that one part where it goes like, here come the planes, they're American planes, and that's like about that. It's about the Iran hostage failure, that we totally failed in that situation. Anyway, for some reason it feels like it really connects for me to Medulla, and I can't explain it. I tried to like, I don't know, what do you guys think? What are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, I connected the dots politically less with Medulla until today, talking to you guys. But the
Yeah.
records felt the same completely to me. Like these kind of like, it's kind of like just the way that like the stomach is the most important part of your brain. And like these are like stomach type albums. And like
Mm,
coming at it as like brain stuff of like, oh, this is about politics. It's like, yeah, it is, but it's also like just about
visceral.
transmutation and that like ability to take an a kind of like foreign outside thing and metabolize it. That's
Mm.
like what it's all about, and that's like what's in Bjork's voice
Yeah.
every time that she opens her fucking mouth. Like it's like she's got this like way, but it's also in the kind of like there's like a like kind of mocking component to the other record that is like delightful.
Yeah.
Like it's like even the vocoder, like just this kind of like modernity and then like a shit-eating grin. Like it's just
Yeah.
like, come on, like uh this is whack,
Yeah.
like, and like even as she's like using these technologies to make a record, I think it's kind of clear that it's like not as vulnerable as when she's just telling
Yeah.
you a
Mhm.
sentence, when she's just like, they're American planes, and like
Yeah.
it even comes through when she's totally affected. Like she's affected by technology, but her affect is what's important. And like the way that she says things on that record, like says so
Mm,
much more than the things she's saying. She just has this way of talking that's like so compelling. It's just
yeah.
like she can change a word any way she wants at the last part of it. The way that she brings words home is like crazy. It's really, really
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, I think both these albums work really well. I mean, you got the fact, both women, both using their voice at like front and center, like we talked about.
Yeah.
The political thing definitely, but I think also it's like they're at the same time they're both trying to push musical boundaries,
Yeah.
try something different. I think I will say though the one difference though between like this and the Bjork album is this had like a visual thing that went along with it. And
Mm,
I think the album kind of like it's a unique album for sure, but I think the album kind of is missing something because there's not like the visual thing, like the videos that she would have that would go along with the songs. Because she was originally a performance based artist.
right.
So she did, that type of stuff before she was even like a musician. Like she used music as a way to do it. But anyway, it's kind of similar to like, well, maybe not similar, but the thing that I think about is the contemporary composer Steve Reich. He has a composition that you have to have a video going with it, like a projector, and there's this video aspect that goes along with music. That I don't know. Kind of to me, it seems like those two albums kind of could go together as well. But yeah, I think they go together well. I was just
Yeah.
thinking about that visual aspect, and I kind of wish I could see like what the visuals were for this album.
it'd be
It would have
cool.
been kind of cool to see that 8-hour performance,
Yeah.
at least just a small bit of it.
Maybe just the album length version
Yeah.
of it. Yeah. I kind of had this thought. What if we thought of Medulla as being pre-human society, and we thought of Big Science as being post-human society?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I was kind of thinking.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and they also both feel very dystopian in a way to me, like that I have a hard time explaining, but they both feel like dystopian. Like Big Science is obviously dystopian, but something about the other album felt dystopic to me too. So, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's like the most sad thing about Bjork is that like her level of like pure honesty is almost always intertwined with some kind of doom.
yeah,
Like it's kind of like it's just that way, like,
Mm.
I think that's like an honest approach, like it is kind of
Uh,
we have like a limited experience here, and
yeah.
largely we've like squandered it, and that's like
Yeah.
sad, but I think it's kind of
It,
true.
Bim, had you heard this album before? This Laurie Anderson album?
No, not like as a sit down. I had heard tracks from it, but I
mm.
had never just like sat with it completely like this.
Yeah, I've heard this before, but I've mostly just heard it through Tabitha. Tabitha loves this album. So that's why I thought it was interesting when Court picked it.
For some reason, when I was listening to it, I kept thinking Tabitha would love this album.
Yeah, she does.
So.
We have the record. I'll post a picture
Very
of it.
cool.
But
Should we go into our top
yeah,
three?
what are your top 3 favorite, Court?
Number 1 by a lot is "Oh Superman."
And the voice said, neither snow nor rain, nor blue light shall stay these warriors from the swift completion of their appointed round.
You know who also loved "Oh Superman"? David Bowie,
Oh, cool.
and actually covered it. This one starts out with this refrain: "Oh Superman, oh Judge, oh Mom and Dad," and that is an allusion to an opera, actually. This one is really interesting to me. It's all of the songs are weird. This one's also weird. To me, it's like the big state is mom in the song, and I could be wrong about that, but that's what it feels like to me. And there's this interesting part where like the mom figure leaves a voice on the voicemail, and then afterward leaves a message on the voicemail, and then afterwards the singer goes like, okay, who is this really? And and this part just like gives me the chills for some reason. It goes, "This is the hand that takes." And I was like, woo, like that's so interesting. And then just the whole and then I also really thought these lyrics were interesting. "When love is gone, there's always justice. When justice is gone, there's always force." I thought that was interesting. And then it says, "When force is gone, there's always mom. Hi, mom." It's bizarre.
Yeah, and I mean it's a very good reading of like contemporary anarchist analysis. Like this is the violence of the state versus the like empowerment of real work in society, i.e. motherhood, care, all these like other things that like are the invisible hand, quote unquote, of the market can't do, or the hand of government can't shape. Like it's a very like stunning kind of outline. And I mean, she was probably reading the same stuff that Graeber has now popularized, like the same women that were writing anarchist thought in the 60s, so yeah, it's curious. And it's boiled down so well. I mean, it's just brilliant lyrics. That's like, it's like Lola from Obedient has that same way of saying 2 words and it meaning everything, like it's just really good lyrics,
Yeah. Well, and one last lyric that I want to shout out on it too. This one just is packed full of interesting lyrics. It says, "So hold me, mom, in your long arms." And then it goes through like these different descriptions of the arms. And it says, "In your automatic arms, in your petrochemical arms, in your military arms, in your electronic arms." I just think it's just really compelling to me. I don't know. So, so that's my top song. What are my other top 2? I would probably say, I like the first song on the album, From the Air. It's like this person who's on an airplane, the plane's going down, and like in the most nonchalant way possible, the pilot is telling everyone to put their head on their knees and prepare to
Crash
die.
landing.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And then it has this refrain that it says, where it says, "This is the time, and this is the record of the time," which gets stuck in my head now.
Put your head on your knees. Captain says, put your head in your hands. Captain says, put your hands on your head. Put your hands on your hips. This is your captain. We are going down. We are all going down together.
That's another big one for me that like I have a note about, which is like she's like getting into media theory. Like that's like Marshall McLuhan saying the map is not the territory. And it's necessarily lower resolution than the territory itself. And don't fucking confuse the map with the territory.
I
And
did
that
not
like
even think about it like that.
she's talking about it in time because she's a performance artist, not a literary artist. You know, and so like she's familiar with the effect of real time versus a record. And that like so like what Cole's saying about like it doesn't quite work without the video, I would take it even further. It doesn't quite work not in real time. Like if you're not breathing the same air as her in the same room, then it's her art's not quite
It's
going to
less
work.
powerful.
You know? Yeah, and that's what she's
I
saying.
mean, that's
She's
how,
declaring
yeah,
that
it's how
from
it
the
works.
beginning of the record. She's saying this is just a record. It will necessarily be powerless compared to reality. It's just a record of it, you know, and that like in the same way that McLuhan and all the media theorists identified that with story and Aristotelian arc and how vulnerable those things are to abuse and to manipulation as compared to embodied experience. Then you have like a real articulation of anarchism, that the idea that action is law and that like that doing the right thing actually is the only thing that matters and everything else is excuses for doing the wrong thing. And that like yeah, the record, you know, set the record straight is you know, like all these things is like very, very central to these ideas of like how you do justice and what that actually means, you know. Is justice revenge or is it a future? You know. And in the context of record keeping, it's just revenge, you know.
Yeah. I like that.
Anyway, yeah, that struck me too. She's fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also, so for my third song, I'm kind of having a hard time picking between Big Science and Walking and Falling. I think I'll go with Big Science. So that's the second track on the album.
Hey pal, how do I get to town from here? And he said, we'll just take a right where they're gonna build that new shopping mall. Go straight past where they're gonna put in the freeway. And take a left at what's gonna be the new sports center. And keep going till you hit the place where they're thinking of building that drive-in bank. You can't miss it. And I said, this must be the place.
It's interesting. It's like talking about like all these things that are being built. Like, how do I get to so-and-so place? And then the voice is like, the person says like, oh, you go past where they're building that new interstate, past where that new sports center is going to be, on the other side of where that, like all these things. And it's like, then it transitions to this part in the song where it goes, where she says, big science, hallelujah. And then this part at first I thought was super cheesy and I didn't like it at first, where she says "Yodel-a-hee hoo." I was like, what? That's so weird. But I looked into it a little bit, and apparently she was mimicking a Gregorian chant.
Oh.
Like, you know how they're like, like, but instead of like saying like Latin, she was saying "Yodel-a-hee hoo," which made me kind of like it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I just like it. Another one that's like pointing to like this idea that like bigger, like especially in the 80s, like this idea of like just industrializing everything, and like we're gonna have parking lots everywhere and shopping malls and like bigger, and like commercialization, and then like also jingoism, just like this intense patriotism that's like associated with violence. And I just think it's a cool song too. And then I'll shout out the other one, the what is it called? Walking and Falling. I just like it because it says like every time you're walking you're falling, and I just like that thought. Like, it's just interesting. So anyway, okay, what are your guys' top three?
Bim, what's your top 3?
Or top 2 if you only chose
Or
two.
top 2
I
if
just
you want
have,
to pick
yeah,
2.
I just have Born Never Asked and Walking Falling. And I almost put that, whatever that first track is where she's like being the flight, the pilot or
Yeah,
whatever. But
from the
yeah,
air.
yeah, that one's cool too. And part of what I liked about that one is the like kind of like overtones of you, like, in order to do modernity, you make a series of concessions of power and then offset them with flowery ideas of empowerment that are just meant to like mask over your material conditions of your life. And like a really good example of that is like how draconian flight is, and how you just give over every single liberty that you have to get from one place to another, even though that's enshrined in your rights to be able to do that and be free. But instead, you just listen to some captain's every little order. You put your hands exactly where they say, and it's like just a great like display of that pre TSA. Like she's like identifying this stuff like before it even really got like to the crazy point that we take for granted now. But it is a really good example of like modernity as lack of freedom, like that's just like what it equates to. And that being the lead off track on a record called Big Science is really pointing at an imbalance in our societal kind of direction, and like what we allow to say, what we allow in our world to tell us why, rather than like just the how. Like science is good at how, but it's really bad at why. And we've just allowed it to take care of why also. We end up like on a plane with some idiot telling us to do stupid aerobics,
Yeah. Well,
I like that
she
shit.
said that, yeah, she said that the idea is you have this pilot who doesn't know what he's doing at all, but is able to like voice this really like commanding and peaceful tone, and so everybody like goes along with it, but the plane's literally crashing.
And that's consumerism.
And at one point, the pilot,
like, yeah.
At one point, the pilot literally says, "I'm a caveman," and what I thought about with that is like, are we all on a plane right now with a caveman at the helm?
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. Well, and it's like, it's beautiful too, because the person who's in control of this systemic inertia problem, like the person who's supposedly in control, the pilot, they're also a caveman. Like that's a beautiful notion, is that like actually every single person involved is innocent. It's system inertia that's the evil force.
I like
And so it's like this inertia that starts with science and ends up with modernity. And that inertia is actually kind of no one's fault, because we created, that's the idea of science, is it's a collaborative leaderless project. And so that like it means that you can't assassinate it when it goes bad. And like that's a problem. Yeah, and so yeah, of course you have a caveman flying the plane,
Well, it
because they're
even talks
also a
about
victim.
going on autopilot, which that kind of points to what you're saying. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and then I actually don't remember what song my other pick, the board never asked one. I'm really bad with like that part of my brain doesn't work, the cataloging part. So if you start talking a little bit about it, then I'll probably remember what it's all about, but I just don't remember it from the name.
oh, it's the one that starts out with her saying it was a large room full of people, all kinds, and they had all arrived at the same building at more or less the same time, and they were all free, and they were all asking themselves the same question: what is behind that curtain? And then the only other lyric in it is, you were born, and so you're free, so happy birthday.
Yeah. Yeah, and that like it's simple. It's obvious what that's all about, and I just think it's great that it's on the record. Like it's just another as many times as we can remind people that like if they zoom out one click, they'll probably change everything about their behavior. Like if you just would like step outside of yourself a tiny bit, you're gonna realize like how much stuff you're doing just because it was the thing to do and not because it was the thing you wanted to do. And that's like always good to remind people to make a decision because you have that ability at every moment, and
Yeah.
and like the cost of just like kind of chilling is high, even though you don't have to like explicitly pull out dollars every time you pay it. It's still a high cost. So I just like any kind of stuff that keeps saying that. Instead, I just don't like art that's saying everything's okay. I like art that's saying everything's not okay. I just
Yeah.
like shit that's like kind of poking people and telling them like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, my three favorite, probably the last three on the album: Let X Be X, It Tango, and Walk the Dog.
Wow, we all did different ones.
Yeah, I will say. Okay, so now that I'm gonna say my thoughts on the album, this is a hard album for me to listen to. I don't think I really
That's okay.
enjoyed it that much. I understand why it's important and the experimentation and everything and how it pushed music, and I do appreciate her, what she's trying to say politically, which is cool. But for me to sit down and just listen to this, I'm not going to listen to this for enjoyment. Yeah. I might listen to it if somebody else puts it on, like Tabitha, but it also might be the fact that Tabitha's played this, and
You've heard it.
This is just something that me and Tabitha just don't agree on, and that's totally okay. So, but I thought, the last three songs I thought were really cool and interesting. I do like Walk the Dog, that weird
Dolly Parton.
the Dolly Parton thing was kind of funny to me. I like that a lot. And then the sample that is used. Yeah, so it's just like a bark sample that just gets repeated. And it's almost like a cuica sound, but I kind of like that.
I thought it was interesting that it said, I went outside today and saw a lot of trees, and they were made out of wood.
Yeah. What were you, Bim? What were you gonna say about Dolly Parton, Bim?
Oh, it's like kind of a sidetrack, but it's pretty quick. It's about bedroom pop, and I have like a bone to pick with bedroom pop, and it's the same bone that I would pick with pop punk, and it's that like what bedroom style music in my mind is special for is a lack of editorial control and therefore a level of honesty that is sometimes unpopular but true. And this is a great example of that. Like this is like a bedroom record. This is like largely her doing this shit at home, and you don't get those kind of lyrics of like this throwaway kind of like trashing Parton for being fake, which like everybody loves Dolly Parton. Like it's like this is like universally loved person. And so of course it's the one person that gets trashed on the record because it's a bedroom record. Where then like my generation sees like, so same thing with punk, where like punk is like valuable because it's willing to be unpopular, and that's actually ends up being invitational and people feel liberated by it. Like same with Bedroom for its honesty, Punk does for its vigorousness. And that gets wiped clean with pop punk, and that gets wiped clean with snail mail and Japanese breakfast. So that's my bone to pick, is like, if you're gonna trade on this like vulnerable individual style music that's known as Bedroom, then at least say something rude about someone well liked. Like at least have some courage. Like, it's like
Okay.
that's why we're here, is for those things. Like we want what you really think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't sterilize it and then get cowardly about that thing about Dolly Parton, because it's really fucking
Yeah.
funny, of like this person talking about longing who's chosen a life of travel. It's just like, come on, you don't
Yeah.
actually long for home. You got enough money, you could go home. Like, be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, Dolly Parton says, "I sure miss my Tennessee home" in the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like,
know,
do
and I
you?
know
She's not going home. Dolly Parton knows she's not going back there.
Yeah, yeah, it's just brilliant, But it is like, to me, these days, if I want to be the old man in the room, like it is pointing at something that's lacking right now from like people who are kind of doing bedroom or punk stuff that's aspirational first and honest second. And I'm like, it's okay to have aspirations, but they have to come second. Like you need to be honest first, and like don't
Oh yeah.
self-edit,
I
because in
mean,
a democratized internet world, self-editing is the bad guy. Like that is the new
yeah.
industry. It's like not wanting to get canceled is the new evil record company not allowing people to be themselves as artists. And so like that, like you have to fucking say shit that's like not okay. If that's what you
Yeah.
feel. You don't have to do it as like a, edgelord thing, but if you got this funny little thing about Dolly, say it, like, so anyway, I
Yeah.
just really like it. Just felt
Yeah.
really honest and good.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I like that thought that you shared there. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't my favorite. I also think another reason why I don't really like it as an album is, like I said, it comes from a performance piece. So I feel like it's missing that visual thing. And for me, I don't know if I'm ever going to listen to this album again. It is interesting though, and I'm glad that we talked about it today. But yeah, the Bjork album is definitely my favorite out of these two. But yeah, if you guys haven't heard these two albums, go out and listen to them.
What'd you say?
I win. My
Why do you win?
record. You like my record better
Oh.
than Court's record.
Yeah, 2 against 1. Take that, Court. How do you feel?
I feel fine. I liked Bjork's record a lot.
No, I think this was I think it's a cool conversation then that we talked about.
I think
these
it's
two albums.
I think it's cool to contrast them to, and I think it's interesting too. Like Bjork's was like 3-year project,
Took a lot of
bunch
time.
of artists,
Yeah.
18 different locations.
This was just like boom.
Hers was like, I'm in my apartment hallway
Yeah.
with a vocoder and like maybe 3 other people.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's cool. And one thing I wanted to say real quick, I know we're closing, but I wanted to talk about this album that I feel like is kind of situated in the middle of the two albums. And that's Holly Herndon's Proto, which I referenced earlier. It's a 2019 album. And it is almost all vocal, but then it's collaborating with an AI that they developed and named Spawn. And anyway, I just think it kind of feels like it kind of is at the junction of both albums. So if you want to go check out another album that's a little more electronic vibes, maybe check that one out. And then the other thing I wanted to say is, do you know what it kind of makes me think of? And I don't know how everyone in this room feels about this person that I'm about to bring up.
Okay.
But we'll see. It kind of reminds me of Inside by Bo Burnham. Have you watched Bo Burnham
No.
or Inside?
No, what's that?
Oh, okay. So he's a
Sorry.
No, it's okay. He's a comedian, and during COVID, he basically locked himself in a room and
Oh, I heard
did this-
about. Yeah, I kind of watched this.
did this whole album,
Really?
visual album, and yeah, and a lot of it's satirical and yeah.
Similar to this
Bo
album,
Burnham
yeah.
kind of got canceled for a while, but then he kind of got uncanceled because he said sorry. in one of the songs. But anyway,
I'm not up to date on Bo Burnham, but I'll have
Yeah.
to check that out. Never heard of that.
you should watch Inside.
Okay.
I recommend Inside to people. It's really depressing.
Great.
It talks a lot about like global warming and how.
I love depressing stuff. It contrasts my optimistic outlook.
Anyway,
You're
those are
bubbly, happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
Mortician.
I have to balance it out.
the
my
merry
life.
mortician.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Bim, for being on and being able to talk about these albums with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I don't. This is probably the only time I've talked about music publicly. I refuse to. So I did it because I love you guys.
Well, we feel honored. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the way I like to put it is I don't watch TV, I am TV.
Ooh, there you go. I like that.
But I
Before we
really
let you
loved.
go-
I did listen to some of your stuff, and I really liked all the stuff I listened to. So good job.
Oh,
It's cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bim. Before we go, I just I wanted to ask, because we talked about this on the episode with Lola, but how did you come up with the drum part for Free Lunch?
I just played the drums. I knew that I wanted to do something sparse, and I was listening to a lot of Pill, and I'm sure that part of that is lifted from some Pill shit. That would be my guess. It's gotta be something in there. But yeah, it was
Okay.
really just a development of a drum part where I started with wanting a cyclical snare and kick rhythm that was gonna basically live inside of the entire bass phrase, so that so that Hadley could do very little but do it on time, and I wouldn't be hitting with her, I would be around her.
around
And that
her,
would
yeah. Okay.
that would kind of just build a song that would let Lola be kind of I don't know, there's just so much of that song that I want. It's so funny and also political, and I wanted Lola to be able to sing it, not
Yeah.
yell it. And so
Yeah.
that meant that I had to kind of create something that was interesting and enough of a groove approach that it
Yeah.
wasn't just about these big hits, where a lot of the other songs
Yeah.
are these ba ba, big chung chung, and that's her being choo choo on the vocal, and this one I knew we wanted to bring the tempo down, and then it was just a matter of I think I started with probably twice as many hits on both the kick and the snare, and just started removing things
Removing
over
it.
maybe the
Okay.
course
Yeah.
of an
It's just that.
hour. I'll just sit and play in my space alone, and I'll start with something really cool and intricate, and then I'll try and just see what's the hit that's the most physically difficult to remove without fucking everything else up, and then I'd practice removing that hit and just keep reducing until I'm only hitting on the stuff that's hard to do. And that usually just means an interesting beat, because the stuff that's easy is
Yeah. Yeah. It's a.
Yeah, it's a cool beat. I mean, that's why I asked it. And yeah, it is groovy. Anyway, I just think that drum beat's really interesting on the album in the context of the other songs. So, well, thanks for answering that. So that's cool. You're writing the drum part for the song, which is cool. That's a cool way
to do
for
it.
sure. Oh yeah. And that's that's my duty of my not being on an airplane, is that I have to also decide where to put my fucking hands for myself.
Yeah.
And that's an active process,
Yeah, definitely. Do you got any stuff you want to plug before we let you go? Any stuff that you're working on that you want to let people know about?
Not really. I'm doing chainmail shit. I'm about to go do an artist residency in Pawtucket for 2 months, doing wooden sculptural stuff. And I kind of want people to check out my chainmail Instagram, but not for the chainmail. I want them to check it out for that later. So if you're existing in late September through mid-November, try and figure out what the hell I'm making in Pawtucket, and that'll make me happy.
Okay, sick. We'll definitely link your chainmail account to this episode so people can follow that.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool. Well, thanks, Bim. I'm excited to see you this week. We're gonna be playing in Portland with Zapac and you guys. So it'll be good to see you again. But thanks again, Bim. We appreciate your time. We'll talk to you later.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Good to meet you, Court.